I've decided to share my perspective of what I have observed while living in Raleigh after moving here myself. But don't get me wrong, I enjoy being here, but you may not. So your job today is to see if you can handle any one of these 7 things to help you figure out if Raleigh, North Carolina is for you or not. Now, if you're new to me and this YouTube channel, we talk about everything you need to know about Raleigh, North Carolina. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out. But also, I am a licensed realtor. So if you do need any assistance with your real estate or even relocation needs, just reach out. Depending on who you are and how you like to live, there's probably more or less things that you can or cannot handle. But this video today is going to be talking about what I have found to be the top 7 negative things about living in Raleigh, North Carolina. To kick things off, Raleigh is set up to be more of like a small / mid-sized city. And I only say that because, again, Raleigh is the capital, so sometimes it can be under that perception of, oh, it may be a large city. It may have, like New York. It's probably set up like California, Texas, but it is nowhere close to it. In fact, this is my personal opinion, but I believe that Charlotte is much larger of a city than Raleigh in itself. So I wanted to share that with you guys so that you looking at Raleigh don't expect a 24-hour living, like New York, lights don't shut off. It's nothing like that at all. So for anyone that needs to be within a big city living, I highly recommend just visit the area first and see for yourself if this is even something that you would even imagine yourself being in, because that could be a big deciding factor. If you're coming from a larger city to Raleigh, you may have a bit of a shock there, and of course you don't want to experience that. And of course, like everything else in the world, yes, it is expensive, but is it expensive like the big cities that I've previously mentioned? No. However, sometimes you'll find that the budget that they give you in terms of just, hourly wages or just kind of what's out there already, it doesn't necessarily match what's going on. But when does that ever match? I mean, that's just the world we live in now, right? In addition to speaking about things being expensive, one thing that I've discovered, I want to know, did you know that North Carolina is a regulated state? Meaning that your energy bills can't fluctuate and just go extremely high. So that is definitely a more of a positive thing than a negative thing. And I want to throw that because, again, it could sway your decision in any sort of way of knowing that your bills, your energy bills specifically, won't go just skyrocket one month because of whatever is going on in the world. So don't forget, Raleigh is set up to be more of a small and mid-sized city. They are making efforts to making it more of a larger, kind of built like that, but honestly, I don't really see it. I'd go to Charlotte if you really need that feel. Yes, Raleigh is doing a ton of construction, which on the other end is going to result in a lot of traffic. Then when you couple that with being in a state where it's really car dependent, I mean, yes, you need a vehicle. Don't forget that. So you're going to have to deal with just the construction, the traffic that comes with, of course, construction. As we all know, whenever there's something going on the road, you guys get the gist, right? Then we can't forget the public transportation is not the best. So being in a car dependent state where construction is going on, it's of course going to put everybody on the road to get to point A to point B. So you can only imagine what sometimes traffic looks like, especially when everyone's trying to either get to work, go to an event, go home. However, as I mentioned, construction going on, one of the things that is being developed right now that you can take a look at to help, I would assume, alleviate the flow of traffic is Interstate 540. You could go ahead and take a look at that. That is a toll road, I must say. It's very inexpensive in my opinion. I'm used to New York tolls. But the big problem with everything I just mentioned when it comes to traffic and construction is the fact that Raleigh is being developed really quickly. But then the suburbs, the cities that all surround it kind of get left out. And now they have to bear what comes with the cost of Raleigh being developed and everybody going in and out of Raleigh on a regular basis. So now these smaller cities have way more pressure to develop themselves, which can of course result in widening the roads in places like Gardner, Fuquay Varina, Clayton, just to give you a little perspective of where these places are kind of being left out. If you don't believe me though, I would highly recommend for you to see for yourself what the construction is going on here, what the traffic looks like, just so you can have your own representation of it. I highly recommend just taking a trip in town. And when you do so, and you kind of want some pointers of things to go ahead and look at, or maybe even real estate that you want to look at, that number that is popping up right there, make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. But not only is construction causing the traffic, but there has been a major influx of people with growing the population here in Raleigh, North Carolina, which has of course added more fuel to the fire. Prior to 2020, I am unsure when exactly the population really started to gradually increase. I will say, during 2020 though and onward, it has really magnified and significantly increased the population here in North Carolina. So if you're an individual that does not like people, in fact you want to be far away from people, and you don't want to be part of a small mid-sized city with a large population, then yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, this may not be the area that you really want to look at. But if you want more information on the growing population in North Carolina, I would highly recommend checking out my previous video when this video is all said and done. But stay tuned to hear about my personal big negative I had to find out the hard way, which was after moving to Raleigh, North Carolina. You know how the old saying goes, if you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. Well, in North Carolina, if you cannot take the weather, it's time for you to look elsewhere, because man, oh man, does it really get hot. And not only does it get hot, but it's extremely humid. So if you don't like humidity and you don't like high temperatures, well, I have to share with you, you're moving down south, so you gotta expect it. However, on the brighter side, at least this is something that I enjoy. There's rarely any snow here, rarely gets cold. If you're okay with 30 degrees temperature wise, then you'll be just fine, because that is at least what I've experienced. And I'm used to, again, as you guys may know, I'm from Connecticut, so I'm used to really low temperatures, and that 30 degrees temperatures that really happens during, I would even say, for like a 2 to 3 month period. But the one thing that isn't tolerable is how unpredictable sometimes the weather can be in North Carolina, especially in the spring. It'll be cold in the morning, and then in the afternoon it warms up, making it really difficult for you to dress. And then hey, sometimes it'll just rain for like 15-20 minutes in a specific area, and then the sun just shines everywhere else. But that's just me ranting at this point. It isn't that big of an issue. However, it is something that may frustrate a lot of you. So far you've heard about the size of Raleigh, traffic and construction in the area, the growing population, and the weather. I'm curious now, is there any one thing that I've mentioned so far you feel is the worst thing about living in Raleigh? Let's hear it in the comments below, because this one here I personally cannot stand. And what makes it worse, I'm not going anywhere, so I have to deal with it every single year, which is the pollen. Yes, I'm a victim. I have allergies, so every single spring for about 2 to 4 weeks I have to deal with constant pollen everywhere, on your car, on your hands sometimes, because again, you're touching everything. You can literally see the thing. I've never seen it like this before until moving to North Carolina. And I don't even mean to exaggerate, because it's that severe here, to the point where I've looked at different stats and I saw that Raleigh is, I believe it was top 20 on the list of the top places where pollen exists. But let's take it a step further so you guys can see for yourself the pollen count that happens during the springtime. It's insane. Whoever has allergies, please be wary of this and really take this into consideration. And I would even recommend visiting during the spring, just so you can see for yourself what really happens and what really goes on, because it is not a pleasant scene for anyone who has allergies. And I have to deal with it every single year onward, because I'm not going anywhere. See, I told you I'll give you a real perspective and not sugarcoat things, especially for those individuals who don't live here, which is another reason why that number that you do see popping up right there, make sure you give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends, because you know I'm going to keep it real with you. Anywho, who cares about me? We're here to talk about the annoying things, right? Another thing to keep in mind, if you cannot handle the bugs, the mosquitoes, which are everywhere, there's no real secret where, you know, North Carolina has it more than anywhere. They're everywhere. There's nothing you can do to avoid them. However, snakes is a large topic every time when it comes to North Carolina. I mean, I've been here for about 5 years and I've probably seen about 3 of them. And I'm an active person outdoors, where I'm going on walks, I'm going on trails, I'm going on hikes. So yes, I see them more or less there. I've probably seen one outside of my home, but outside of that, everything else I've seen on the trail in itself. However, I will say I've learned recently fire ants. I don't know if you guys have them wherever you're watching this from, but that's something I've learned that was really new being in North Carolina. And I was just told not too long ago that fire ants can be poisonous. I guess you can be extreme. For those individuals that get bit by them, you can be very allergic to it, which I have never got bit. I don't think I have, and if I did, then I did not have an allergic reaction to it. So which means, by the grace of God, I am not allergic to it. But yes, fire ants do exist here, and that's something that you can be wary of or have on the top of your conscience. And another thing you may want to know is the location of Raleigh. It could be a good thing or it could be a really bad thing depending on your lifestyle and what you like to do, because Raleigh sits 2 hours from the mountains and then on the other end 2 hours from the beach. So if you're an individual that enjoys being in the mountains, Raleigh may not be the best fit for you. If you're someone who really enjoys being at the beach and just can't bear the fact to drive 2 hours to get there, then Raleigh may not be for you. But if you don't need either one of those two as often or as frequently, then it could be a good place for you. Again, as I mentioned, it's going to depend on your lifestyle and what you like to do and what do you need around you. So now that I've mentioned everything about the top 7 negative things about living in Raleigh, North Carolina, which one of these things do you find as the worst thing? Let's hear it in the comments below. But just as much as I enjoy making these videos for you guys, my name is Roney Polynice, and I would love nothing more but the opportunity to be able to assist you with any of your real estate or your relocation needs. So you see that number that is popping up right there? Make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing: I got your back in this market.